Mullin of Oklahoma. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. So we've talked, CNN has talked to so many federal workers who are really, in addition to being upset that they're not going to be paid, which happens during government shutdowns, some of them are worried about these mass firings that are being threatened. Are you worried at all about the Republican Party getting any blowback?
Well, it's the Democrats that's holding the American people hostage and these federal employees hostage. Keep in mind, what we propose is a clean CR, meaning not one word has changed since the Democrats, Chuck Schumer and all those that voted no today, a year ago voted on the same CR. They voted on the same CR in December. They voted on the same CR in January before President Trump was sworn in, and then all of them but 10 bailed in March. Not one word of this has changed. So why is it now that they decide to hold the federal workers and the military hostage over it? I will say this, though, for all the military and the federal workers that are concerned right now, the military pay went out in full today. Russ over at OBM made sure that was going to be happening. Also, all federal employees will be paid in full tomorrow. Will this be? Will they be affected on the 15th and 16th? Yes. If the Democrats want to continue to hold them hostage, because why? Because their hatred towards President Trump. Because what policy changes are they fighting against? What is it that is so bad about this clean CR that they voted no against today? Why did they vote for it a year ago?
So, just to translate, CR means continuing resolution. Just to translate from Senatorese, continuing resolution. It's just a government funding bill. It means it's the same basic resolution as before. What Democrats say they're fighting for is that there are these Obamacare subsidies that are going to expire at the end of the year, and this is the time that they have leverage to force Republicans to pass them, and otherwise people will lose health insurance.
Well, keep in mind, this subsidy that they're supposedly talking about was a subsidy that Democrats, when they were in control of the White House and the Senate and the House back in 21, voted to expire. This was a COVID subsidy. They always intended to expire. It was never supposed to be permanent. Keep in mind that they had full control. If they wanted to make it permanent, they could have. But they sell to the American people to pay this tax bill, which was $350 billion, was to say, listen, this is just to help the insurance companies get over the hump because insurance is so expensive because of COVID going right now. Well, COVID's over and insurance companies are making a ton of money. Why do we need to keep the subsidy going? Why should taxpayers continue to fund a subsidy for the insurance companies to get their premiums paid for? So it's a hard position for them to explain.
So there are, as you know, no doubt, about 300,000 Oklahomans who use these subsidies that we're talking about. It helps them reduce their premium health care costs. Are you against extending them at all?
What I'm against is continue providing funding, because it's not just the subsidy that they're trying to do away with. Keep in mind, they're also trying to strike the language $1.5 billion to extend government funding for 4 weeks. They want taxpayers to pay $1.5 billion, which, by the way, is $600 billion over what our national defense budget is. And what they're trying to do is strike $1.5 trillion. Yes, thank you. I appreciate you correcting me on that. $1.5 trillion, which is $600 billion over what our national defense bill is. Now, let's think about what that does. Basically, what that strikes is all the fraud, waste, and abuse that one big beautiful bill went after. And one of the huge costs in that is funding, taxpayer funding for illegal aliens. They're wanting the American people to continue funding insurance for those that should never been in this country to begin with.
Well,
and I know Chuck Schumer says that that's not.
No. I've looked into it. I know what you're talking about. I just want to explain to our viewers. So there is a provision that the Democrats want to get rid of, and part of it is Medicaid reimbursements, emergency Medicaid reimbursements to hospitals, some of which does go to undocumented immigrants using health care there to those hospitals. Some of it is also for people who are in this country legally but are not citizens, people who are refugees or people who have temporary protected status.
Well, actually, it goes further than that, because in the one big beautiful bill, it has a line saying cut and fraud, waste, and abuse, specifically saying that Medicaid and Medicare benefits cannot go to an illegal alien. Underneath this CR, that it's going to cost the taxpayers $1.5 trillion to keep government open for 4 weeks, it specifically by line X's that part out. So
Right,
it's more than just reimbursement. This is actually allows them to have Medicaid or Medicare inside, if it's state funded or if it's federal funded. So it goes much farther than just reimbursement to hospitals.
Is there any off-ramp here? Do you see, are there any Democrats and Republicans talking about a way forward, surely, that their cooler heads can prevail? There can be some sort of a coming together?
Absolutely. There's a lot of Democrats that would love to vote for a clean CR because they voted for it 13 times underneath Biden, and they voted for, as I said, this same CR 4 times already. The problem is they're being held hostage once again by Chuck Schumer.
But if they got rid of the stuff having to do with undocumented immigrants and temporary protected status, et cetera, and it was just about the Obamacare subsidies, would you contemplate that?
I don't see where there's a point to negotiate when we're talking about a clean CR. It's not like there's language that we put in there. This is the same language that Joe Biden's administration approved. So what language is it that we have to adjust? Why is it that they're not okay with saying let's give Congress 7 weeks, keep funding level, keep languages, everything exactly the same for 7 weeks, and give us time to be able to try to finish appropriations, which we're not going to finish appropriations. We have 12 appropriation bills, but the 4 appropriation bills that's already out of committee and ready to be conferenced, those 4 bills alone takes care of 87% of our federal budget, and those could be accomplished. So there's no room. You know, my mama told me a long time ago, you can't negotiate with crazy. At this point, that's where I would consider Chuck Schumer at, because he's so afraid of being primaried by AOC that he's holding the American people and his Democrat Party hostage from us just simply doing something he's already voted for 4 times.
Senator Mark Wayne Mullin of the great state of Oklahoma, thank you, sir. Good to have you here.
Appreciate it.
Nearly 750,000 federal workers are furloughed right now across the federal government. Next, we're going to take a look at what it means for the government services that you rely on to keep you safe. Also ahead.